recording. So later then you'll be able to watch it. So, good evening, PMI Poland chapter, current project professionals and future project managers. We are glad to see all of you coming to meet with great speakers and get deeper knowledge about PMO. And our team is pleased to be virtual guests in Poland. And just some facts, industries like agriculture, manufacturing, energy, tourism industry, and Fast Track Your PMO signature event is focused on project professionals who lead all of these multiple projects and want to boost their career and get recognition. And I will moderate this event for today. So I promise it will be valuable and joyful for you. At the end of the session, you will have the chance to win great prizes. So cheer up and stay tuned till the end. And first of all, warm welcome to the Vice President of Marketing at PMI Poland chapter, Cornelia Henczak, who is also a communications and social media professional and is fascinated with the influence of social media on human relations and mass communications, working as an employer branding lead at Credit Suisse company. So Cornelia, the floor is yours. Warm welcome.
Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone. I'm super glad to be here with you. I'm super glad that you joined and you were not like misled by the emails that you, the email that you received today saying see you tomorrow. And as Project Management Poland Institute Poland chapter representative, I want to tell you a few words about Project Management Institute. I will share my screen, and then if I will not be able to turn it off, please, Nadine, I will tell you to cut me from the presentation. So we are meeting here today as you are here with us at the event organized jointly by Project Management Institute, and something is happening Poland chapter and PMO Global Institute. As you can see, we are one project management institute in Poland, but we have 11 branches here, and we have over than 700 members locally in Poland. I will tell you a little bit about the membership options in a moment. And I will be encouraging you to join us as volunteers, members, and to join our events or our projects. You are here, so you must have heard about this event either from our social media channels or read about it on our page, or you are receiving our newsletter. So if you want to learn about what we do here in Poland locally, follow us, reach out to us. I'm the one who answers on LinkedIn, for example. So if you want to chat, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram sometimes. But feel free to follow us to suggest any changes or what if we could do something better. I told you I will tell you a little bit about the membership. As you can see, I added the taglines in English, so our English-speaking guests understand what we are speaking about, and everything all the rest is in Polish. There are two types of Project Management Institute memberships. The first one is the base one, is global. So if you are pursuing PMP or any exam, you don't need to, but it's good to have to be a member of Project Management Institute. And from this year, Project Management Institute globally is introducing a new type of membership. It's an associate membership. It's cheaper. It gives you a little less access to little less documents online on PMI.org. But if you want to see how the community is built, what we offer as Project Management Institute, I encourage you to reach out to us, because it is like not open. This membership is not open yet to everyone. You can write an email to us or reach out through LinkedIn, and then you will be informed how to get this kind of membership. And then we have another membership, which is local membership in local chapter, PMI Poland chapter. And again, we are encouraging everyone who is a global member of PMI.org to join us, our PMI Poland chapter, to have influence on what we do. We listen to people and to shape how this community is built locally in Poland. We have, of course, like options to get this Polish membership for free. And there is also option for students who can join Project Management Institute with a discount. And as I said, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to be a member to join our calls, to join our events. Sometimes we organize events for our PMI Poland chapter members only. But you can also join our community by becoming a volunteer. I think it's a great group of people who do amazing things together, spend evenings on the calls together, but on the other hand, we also have fun together and we inspire each other. So it's just amazing to see how this community is inspiring each other and how this community is working together with people from different organizations, from different backgrounds. We are here together. And as I told you, it's good to be a member of PMI Poland chapter, because if you are a member of PMI Poland chapter, you, for example, can get our quarterly newspaper printed. You can order it from, I believe, from September. So the next edition will be somewhere in January. But we came back and started printing this this newspaper once more. And you are the first ones to learn about upcoming PMBOK 7 Polish translation, which was just about sent to the print house. So I hope to have some good information for you in about few weeks. So we are super proud because this translation was managed by our PMI Poland chapter members, was reviewed by some of the best project managers in Poland. So it's just good to be involved. And as you could see at the very first slide, something that connects us is PMI. And this is my last slide. Now I'm trying to switch off. Yes, I was able to do it. Yeah, it worked. And now I'm stopping about PMI, and you can start listening about PMO.
Cornelia, thank you so much for this great start and for letting all of attendees to know that you have such a great achievement, that you got this PMI book in Polish. So literally, congratulations. It was for sure hard work, but it will pay off for sure. And now let's dive into the greatest journey, the world of PMO and its opportunities. So now I'm sharing my screen to roll through some slides, and we'll let you know some learning objectives and session benefits. So now you can see our screen. So here you can see our speakers. And today we have such learning objectives. So all attendees will learn how PMO setup works. You will learn tools and techniques to apply CB-PMO framework. You will increase your visibility and become recognized within your organization and peer circle. You will make use of the best practices in PMO and increase the success rate of your projects. And also you will earn 2 PDUs, 2 contact hours. And just to recap session benefits, all attendees will get for free the CB-PMO Framework. You will get access to the largest PMO community. 5 lucky winners will get full year PMO Global Institute memberships, which actually cost $89, but you will get it for free. Just be attentive during the main session, and then we will play the Kahoot game. And also you will get 10% discount on PMOGI PMO certification program. And here you can see our PMO guidebook. Later then you will know more details. And to give you the insight about PMO Global Institute, we are the global body for PMO certifications, representing global project management offices, including project, program, and portfolio managers involved in defining, establishing, and running high-performing PMOs in and across industry sectors. So our objective is simple: to make PMO learning available to project professionals across the globe through certifications, events, networking, and hands-on knowledge sharing. We already have members in 100 plus countries. And also we have more than 70 partners in 60 countries. And today you will listen our partner from Alabama, from US. So later I will make the introduction, stay tuned. 46% of PMO directors said that their organization doesn't understand the value of project management. 68% of stakeholders perceive their PMO as bureaucratic. And now I'm going to pass the floor to our community manager, Dylan Martin, who has a background in humanities and used to live in over 15 different countries around Europe, Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Therefore, Dylan leverages his international experience to foster human connections towards creating real and impactful change. Dylan creates PMO communities around the world, giving project professionals a place to come together, exchange best practices, network, and drive meaningful change in their local communities. So now he will share thoughts on the topic challenges in PMO. So Dylan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Nadine. Let me share screen with you quickly and take you through that. All right, Nadine, can you just confirm with me that you can see my screen when it's ready?
It has started sharing, but we still cannot see it. Oh, yes, we can. Yes, please.
Is that better? Okay, fantastic. All right, so to that statistic on the left. All right, so you can see it says that the PMO, 75% of PMO, right? Now that's a staggering statistic. That's 3 out of every 4 PMOs that are set up that fail. And if you ask yourself the question, why does that matter, right? Why is that so important? And I like to think of this as important because the world is changed via projects. And when you think of who are running these projects and professionals, and when you're dealing with 75% failure rates of PMOs, how are we effectively creating meaningful impact in the world? And that's a very scary statistic when you look at that. And before I jump into the reasons why we see such failure, I do want to frame the problem and does it matter? And it matters because in a world where increasing competition, rapidly changing market dynamics and risks, and projects are becoming more complex and teams are becoming increasingly strained. So PMOs are becoming more and more important in this aspect. And PMOs help because they provide visibility and governance. But in order for PMOs to effectively operate in this space, there are a few challenges that we need to address. And you can see the first one over there. It's all about value, right? So it's important that PMOs find where tangible and measurable value They must focus on rather than outputs and align that PMO strategy with the business objective. And next, you see lack of senior sponsorship. This is what you see when there's a lack of perceived value of the PMO, right? A lack of senior sponsorship. And value is subjective, right? It does lie in the eye of the beholder. So understanding the senior sponsor's expectations is incredibly important. Next, inexperienced PMOs, or also called accidental PMOs. So these are PMOs that jump into, or PMs that jump into a PMO role, and they need to learn how to do it on the fly. They don't have that prior knowledge and training that is so. Now, you wouldn't put a nurse in a surgeon's position, right? But why do we seem to do that with PMO roles? And in today's climate, you can't just be good. You have to be great in your PMO position. Next, strategic vision not aligned to organizational strategy, and the PMOs are too busy to be strategic. Now, PMOs focus mostly on tools, templates, and processes, but I find that the PMO role is shifting in that aspect, right? We've evolved as PMOs, and now they are expected to be strategic and ensure that project aligns with the larger overarching business goals. So that role has shifted. We need to be more strategic now. Next, sponsor business does not realize PMO benefits and values, right? There you have it again. These benefits must be tangible and measurable and in line with sponsor expectations. Next, we can see that PMOs are often seen as project police. And I imagine many PMs here probably feel that way. And I think we need to get away from this idea of PMOs being that surveillance PMO, right? They're not to be seen as the enemy, but they're there to enable you to achieve project outcomes. They're to remove barriers. And I think a lot of this relies on the importance of emotional intelligence. So you need to get that vision behind the PMO and create that understanding that we're here to work together. Next, we can see low project success rate. So if you look at the maturity levels of different PMOs, from a level 1 being infancy and 5 being a fully optimized PMO, we find that actually 88% of PMOs don't make it past that level 2. So that's not that great either. And there you see that this is often due to ill-fitting processes, bad tools, and what we call Euro PMs. And this Euro PMs are those PMs that like to stick to their guns. They're a little bit territorial when it comes to changing and adopting new processes. And again, you need to get them to buy into the whole vision of the PMO. Otherwise, that resistance to change can become quite an issue. Then, if we move on, we can look at how does the PMO benefit the organization, right? Let's look at the flip side of those challenges and shine the light in a bit more of a positive note. So, firstly, the top-down strategic alignment in the PMO with the business objective. So this can more effectively be implemented when the PMO has sort of that enterprise level PMO, when it functions at that level. But you also need the PMO to have strong leadership capabilities. And at the PMO Global Institute, this is a very important aspect of us. And you'll probably see later in our framework, we concentrate very heavily on this importance of leadership. Number 2, deliver value, consistency, and accuracy to the organization beyond on time and on budget. So we've spoken about the importance of this, right? But I want to mention that quick wins becomes very important aspect to show and deliver that value. So sometimes it can take quite a lot. It's important to have some quick wins built in to that initial PMO. Number 3, decisions. PMOs have that visibility. They can better analyze risk, inform better decision making. And I always like to use the analogy here of Titanic. So Titanic crashed, and spoiler alert, Titanic crashed. But it crashed because it hit that iceberg and it couldn't see what was lurking below that iceberg. Titanic didn't have a PMO, but PMOs bring that visibility. They can identify those risks. So we know how the Titanic ended, and it has Leonardo DiCaprio in it. So give it a watch if you haven't seen it yet. Next, we can talk about facilitating project completion. So PMOs are there to remove barriers and allocate resources effectively to help deliver on that project success rate. Number 5, training, mentoring, coaching, and knowledge transfer. So what PMOs do well is they can log best practices and ensure that there's rapid project delivery with skilled staff. That's a very important aspect. Next, provides organizational standards, best practices, a central repository, quality, and efficiency. There's a whole lot of words for you. And you have it again, you know, if PMOs need to be efficient and effective. They need to move in the right direction and ensure that they're heading towards achieving those business objectives. So it's no use you're efficient, but not going in the right direction, right? And ensuring that everyone is on the same page is incredibly important. Next, we have analyze important organizational data, you know, time to go live, achieve goals, impacts created, and time to results. So PMOs have this database of risks and knowledge, and this enables knowledge transfer as well. You know, they from project initiation to project delivery, and they provide a certain level of control. Which brings me to the last point there, you know, facilitating communications and the flow of information. So because they have this repository, they allow and enable knowledge transfer across projects, different departments, stakeholders, and poor communication or miscommunication often lead to project failure, as project managers spend up to 90% of their time communicating. So PMOs create that knowledge transfer flow. And without effective communication, little progress can be made in the area of innovation, taking initiative, and simply just helping one another. And these are the areas that you need to be an expert in. You need to be knowledgeable and be able to deliver these benefits in the PMO world of today. And this is what is expected of PMOs. And if we want to address that staggering 75% we saw in the beginning of my sort of speech, the 75% rate of PMO failures before 3 years, these challenges, deliver effectively on the expectations and realize the benefits that PMOs can provide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dylan, for letting us know what are challenges and also instruments, how we could improve it. This information will be shared by Eric Streeter, who has 15 years of experience in industrial manufacturing, general systems engineering. Within his work and educational experiences, he has implemented Six Sigma projects to reduce production process variability and eliminate non-value added time in various production processes as manufacturing engineer. So now he is founder and CEO at the Arisend Research and Management Company. And now, Eric, the floor is yours. And dear participants, be careful. Starting from this session, take notes, because at the end of the event, we will play a Kahoot game made on the base of this content. So you will have the chance to win 5 full-year PMO Global Institute memberships. So now, Eric, the floor is yours. Eric, please unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Yes.
Greetings. Yes, greetings, PMI Poland chapter. I am Eric Streeter. Hey, can you see my charts? Thumbs up, okay.
Yes, we can.
All right, so let's get right into it. Fast track your PMO. So here is the PMO guidebook. This PMO guidebook is my primary reference here. Just like for the PMI, you have your PMBOK. For Project Management Office, we have the PMO guidebook, and I like to define what a PMO is. Now, the PMBOK has a definition of the PMO, but we're going to use what is in the PMO guidebook today. So what is a PMO? A group consisting of internal and external, etc., which defines, maintains, and ensures standards for project management to deliver initiatives. And it's also a gatekeeper of the project management documents, framework, governance, policies, and methodologies. Now, just like with any industry or organization, acronyms can mean many different things, right? And so for PMO, it could mean a program management office or a portfolio management office at a more strategic enterprise level. But today we're going to focus on the project management office as the PMO. And below I have a very small figure, but it shows the three primary types of PMOs, which you have the supporting PMO. The supporting PMO, it is handy when you're having to implement some baseline basic PMO knowledge, strategies, documentations, best practices. A supportive PMO is what you go for when you're trying to establish the PMO and get that expertise embedded within the organization. Then you also have controlling when there's more of an emphasis desired for a PMO, right? So at this point, you want to have a stronger discipline of the PMO in the organization, and you want to have a entire discipline on how all of the project activities, methods, procedures, and documentation is influenced in the organization. And then you have your directive PMO, the directive PMO being the most authoritative primary type of PMO, where your project activity, your knowledge, your resources, decision-making is flowing through this PMO. It has greater influence than your controlling and supportive types of PMOs. And then you may not be able to see it because it's so small, but other types of PMOs that we have is called a business unit or organization PMO. And so in Poland, one of the industries that is big is manufacturing, right? Especially automotive manufacturing, right? And so as a part of that type of industry, you have your supply chain, right? You have your manufacturing, of course, your engineering, your design, right? You have your quality, right? And so you may have a PMO embedded in one of those functions specifically. And so your projects are flowing through just the engineering function, just through the design function, just through the supply chain function, just through the quality control safety function, right? So those are examples of business unit organizational PMOs. And then you have a special purpose PMO, which is just judging by the name, it has a special purpose. So once that purpose is being satisfied, then that PMO may no longer exist, right? It's met its ultimate goal. It's not meant to be a long-term fixture into the organization. And so then that PMO may go away once it has satisfied its purpose, its specific purpose or objective. So the PMO approach.
Please press F5 to make a full screen. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, is that better? Good, okay.
Amazing.
All right, so the PMO approach. So the PMO approach is the elements of this approach, which is purpose, measure, and optimize. It's going to be heavily influencing what I'm going to show you in the PMO framework. And I'm going to highlight these elements when I get to the slides to show that framework. So keep this in mind, the PMO approach being purpose, measure, and optimize. So how does a PMO work? It's integrating your standards, your policies, training, resources, and your PM software, which is an example of your PMO technology stack. And remember that term, technology stack, and I'm going to reintroduce it when I show you the PMO framework. So your standards could be your templates that the organization uses, the format, in which information is shared, your policies. It may be related to risk management. It may be related to how funding decisions are made. Maybe there's a certain threshold of funding or cost that once it is reached, now you need to transfer this decision or move this decision over to perhaps a steering committee or your senior executive or your senior leadership or your sponsor to make a decision on going forward. Your training, such as this, PMO training, resources, right? And what's the most important resource in the organization? Your people, right? And then again, the PM software. This PM software is just an example of technology, your technology stack, where the sponsor, the stakeholders, they have the ability to have on-demand information when they want to know something about a project or some information related to the PMO. And I have a note here that points to the resources column that says one of the objectives of setting up a PMO is to optimize resource utilization. Keep that in mind. We want to get the most out of what we have, right? And going back to the PMO approach, one of the 3 elements was optimize. And so Dylan introduced this information to you. So I expect you to know at least a couple of these. So why do you think PMOs fail? If you can use your chat to type in what your points are, what your responses are to this, why do you think PMOs fail? Again, Dylan went through this, so you should have this fresh in your mind. Give you a couple of minutes to put it in the chat. And I'll read off some of the responses. Lack of executive support, okay. Keep it coming, keep it coming. I know we have more than just one response. Dylan listed quite a few. There you go, okay, it's coming. Lack of communication, lack of competence within the PMO. Okay. Lack of experience, 2 junior staff, lack of senior sponsorship. Okay, inexperienced PMOs. Okay. Thanks, Corey. Excellent. Lack of vision for PMO department and precise goals. All right. We learned something. I could tell that we have learned something already. Strategic vision not aligned. Okay. Yes. Yes. Not aligned with the organization strategy. Okay. All right. A few more seconds. Lack of good tools. Excellent. And that may point back to our technology stack, which I'm going to introduce here shortly. Okay. Volume and not value approach, too many projects. All right. Thank you for your participation. So this is a statistic that Dylan showed, and I want to make sure that you pay attention to this. 75% of PMOs fail within 3 years, right? Because of the different items that you mentioned, especially the strategy not being aligned to the PMO, right? And all the very great responses that you've given is exactly what contributes to this 75% of PMO failure. Right? So we have to make sure that we focus and and make sure that we get those items done, right? If we have lessons learned, right? If we have lessons learned, let's use it. Let's not repeat the same mistake that was already made. Let's continuously improve. Right? Let's make sure that there's a link between the PMO and the strategy, which was formed before the PMO was stood up. Again, all great responses. So now I'm going to move into the layers, the 4 layers of the PMO framework. And I keep saying this word, PMO framework, and I promise I'm going to show you what the PMO framework is. So we have the 4 different layers. We have the foundation layer, the executable layer, the supporting layer, and the leadership and sponsorship layer, which in the PMO guidebook is called the PMO leadership layer. So those 2 names of layers are synonymous. The leadership and sponsorship and the PMO leadership, that's the same layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down by each one of these 4 layers how it's linked to the PMO framework. So this is the PMO framework. It's a lot going on here. Take a good look at it. And as Nady mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, you will get a copy of this PMO framework. So you'll get plenty of the different items and the processes on this PMO framework, and you'll get to understand it. All right. So I'm going to start off with the foundation layer. So this is the foundation layer. It consists of your business objective, your PMO strategy, and then also going down into your health check, your maturity assessment. When you start analyzing and defining your PMO functions, it's a part of that foundation layer. Your PMO roadmap is a part of your foundation layer. As such, the PMO charter. And so the thing about the business objective is it starts with the business case, right? So you have a business case, which consists of a business need. And you want to make sure that this business need is coming from your customer, right? The person that this PMO is going to benefit. You need to make sure that this business need capture the view of the organization, right? And so for those that are familiar with Lean Six Sigma methodology and some of the artifacts and templates that's used for that methodology, you have the voice of the customer, right? And so that's what you want to make sure that you're capturing in that business case. In that business case, there are many questions that could be asked, such as, for example, like what is the business problem or the opportunity that the PMO is meant to satisfy, right? So you want to make sure you assess the capability gaps. You know, what are the gaps of the organization and what is the PMO going to introduce to close those gaps? Right? And you want to determine a solution approach. So you want to make sure that you understand how do you intend to implement this PMO? You know, what are the cost implications of this PMO? You know, what are the benefits? Dylan talked about benefits of the PMO. Right? And so we want to make sure that the business objective is an output of that business case. And then once you have your business objective, then that's when you develop your PMO strategy. Your PMO strategy should be meeting this business objective. And here for the health check, out of the PMO guidebook, I just have the generalized phases of the health checks. There's a quick check and reporting phase, 2 phases. And the quick check may be a list of closed statements, yes or no statements. And then you report out the results of your responses to those statements. And then you have the maturity assessment that has 5 levels. Level 1 being the more beginner portion of the assessment, 5 being the most optimal, the highest of the level of maturity. And there's a set of items that you go through in order to assess the maturity of your current PMO, in order for you to then be able to identify what are the steps that you need to take in order to ultimately get to where you're trying to be with your PMO. And that should be captured in your PMO roadmap. So we talk about analyzing and defining PMO functions. It's very important to know the roles and responsibilities, what your PMO is going to provide, the service offerings, all that information is very important to make sure that it's very clear. And so that once you put together your PMO charter, there's no gray area. You have your background of the PMO, the reason why you have that PMO stood up, your vision and mission statements. Again, PMO purpose, one of the elements of the PMO approach. Once again, you're talking about who your customer and stakeholders are, your service offerings. There's a link back to the PMO roadmap, your critical success factors. What are the things that are going to ultimately show that your PMO is being successful and it's on the right track? Your PMO funding requirements, and then finally your charter sign off, because this PMO charter is essentially your contract between the PMO and the organization for which it serves. And we have the executable layer. And so we talk about policy, procedure, and governance. Policy, one of the items that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, and how a PMO works, right? And so we also have where you can develop a proof of concept. If you're not sure the type of what the PMO may provide for your specific organization, you may want to have a small scale proof of concept that includes elements of the PMO where you may have maybe a handful or a few key performance indicators. It may be something as simple as standardizing how project managers use their information, the forms that they fill out, the reports, how they execute the projects, making sure that there's some consistency there. It may be, are we completing projects within the expected time frame as part of the scope of that project? It may be just a few key performance indicators where this proof of concept is just going to be able to show your stakeholders and your potential sponsor that, hey, I see that we are able to have some quick wins, which Dylan also mentioned, quick wins. We're able to have some quick wins. And if we scale up this proof of concept into a full up PMO, then we can have even more wins, right? We can meet even more key performance indicators. We can do more, right? And so you want to be able to tell that story starting with your proof of concept, if that's what you deem is best to start with, rather than going straight into a type of PMO, a large scale PMO. And again, I mentioned the PMO key performance indicators. You should be able to get this from your customer, your stakeholders, right? Even your project team. Tracking your PMO performance. Again, part of the PMO approach, one of the elements was measure. We're talking about measuring right now. Tracking PMO performance, defining PMO key performance indicators, right? And then, of course, we always want to make sure that our roles are defined and that we have a competent PMO, a competent team that's supporting this PMO, right? And that's a mix of experience, a mix of training, right? I provide PMO training as a part of my company, right? And so I'm contributing to developing competency in the PMO area, evaluating PMO return on investment. And this formula that I listed here is just the monetary type of return on investment. Depending on the industry or organization that you support, that return on investment may not be something tangible. It may be a non-tangible. It may be a PMO that's going to allow you to maybe gain more opportunity with a different stakeholder, with another organization, right? So ROI is not always just financial when you talk about return on investment. There's some benefit even from a non-tangible standpoint, and then you're continuously improving. Again, going back to the PMO approach, optimize. This is part of optimization. You're continuously improving. That's one of the areas that you want to make sure that you're doing. You're continuously improving, taking those lessons learned and making sure that your PMO is better, that it's stronger, that it can produce more, that it's producing better quality, right? That you're satisfying your stakeholders and your customers even more than what you did before. And there's other Lean Six Sigma methodologies. You have the make, define, measure, analyze, improve, control for design. You have the MAD-V, right? And so there's the Schuhart cycle or the Deming circle, the plan, do, check, act. You know, there's different Kaizen. You know, there's different ways that you can continuously improve within your PMO or your organization. All right, what do you think should be PMO key performance indicators? So I haven't seen anyone present this to you. You got off with the previous presentation that Dylan did as far as the, you know, why do PMOs fail? But I'd like to get your raw, uninfluenced thoughts on what do you think should be PMO key performance indicators? Please put it in the chat. We'll give a couple minutes to see your responses and I'll read them aloud. Okay, portfolio return on investment. All right, at the enterprise level. Number of projects delivered, excellent. Faster time to market, we're on the right track, excellent. You're right, it does depend on what PMO you have, that's true. Looking at the cost versus budget, that's important. Number of projects at red, amber, green status, resource utilization, percentage of project completed successfully, keyword on successfully, excellent. On-time status reporting, reducing costs of PM practices, all right. Return on investment. Okay, I'm liking the responses. You all are on the right track. Training, mentoring delivered. Okay, let's give it a few more seconds and then we'll move on. Quality. Very big. All right, excellent responses. We'll move on. Some of you mentioned becoming PMO KPIs here. One mentioned faster time to market. We also want to look at improving predictions. Right? Many organizations deal with forecasts. Want to make sure that our margin of error between the forecast and the actual, we're closing that gap. If we're able to improve prediction, that's huge. Stakeholder satisfaction, prioritize project to improve. All right, improving resource management and process management, and optimizing our finances. Money, money, money. Very important, right? It's not everything, but it is something. And it is important. All right. Moving on. We have the supporting layer. So models, methods, artifacts. This is very similar to what's listed in the PMBOK, the 7th edition PMBOK for methods, models, methods, and artifacts. Very similar. You can take some of the models such as, let's say, expectancy theory. These are things that have some type of influence on the phenomenon of those that are part of the PMO, as well as other documentation, other items that drive aspects of the PMO operations. When we talk about phenomenon, we talk about sometimes the people, right, which is your most important resource in the organization. Expectancy theory says that someone that's expecting a reward may put in extra work, right? Or they may put in a level of effort that's consummate with what they think their return is going to be. And then you have, those that have different motivations, right? So, this models, methods, artifacts, it can go in many different directions. The different type of motivations. You have extrinsic, intrinsic motivation, right? Someone that believes in the PMO, the mission of the PMO, the business objective, right? They believe in that business objective and they want to support it. They may be intrinsically motivated to support your PMO and put in that extra effort, right? These are things you have to think about when you're dealing with people in your PMO that's supporting you, right? You have leader membership theory, LMX theory. The relationship between the leader and the follower, or your resource, your people. There's sometimes unspoken communication on what's expected between you two. And the better that the more clear that you make, right, the objective of the PMO, the expectations of this PMO, then the better that your resources or your people can support you in return, right? So there's many different models, many different methods based on the organization or the industry that you're in. Different artifacts. And like I mentioned, it's very similar to how it is described in the 7th edition of the PMBOK. You have your stakeholder management, identifying your stakeholders. You remember seeing that as a part of the PMO charter? Identify your stakeholders. Make sure that you understand what it is that's important to them, right? What type of communication do they prefer? How often do they want reporting? What are they interested in being reported to them? Know your stakeholders, know your customer, your environment, know the environment that your PMO is set to be established in, right? Are you in a functional organization where everything is pretty much stovepipe? In automotive manufacturing, you have your manufacturing, you have your design, your engineering, your quality, your supply chain. Are they all stovepipe? And they stay within their own hole, their own function? Or do you start getting, or is your organization more of a matrix type, whether it's a weak, balanced, or strong? Is it more matrix where there's some intertwining, there's some working together of some of these functions, right, to meet an end goal? Are you in a projectized organization where all of these functions are just naturally blended? And the way that I have these organization environments listed is from the lowest level of PMO authority to the highest PMO authority to the lowest. So the projectized organization environment will have the most PMO authority, just because the nature of how that organization is put together with the mixing and the integration of the different functions to make sure that some type of project goal is being met. And then it gets, the PMO level of PMO authority gets weaker as you go down to the strong matrix, balanced, weak, and then finally functional, where you have the least PMO authority. I talked about the PMO technology stack. You saw part of the, how does PMO operate, where you saw PMO software. PMO technology stack. It can also include disruptive technologies such as artificial intelligence, right? You have machine learning, you have deep learning. There's different areas of technology that can support and make the PMO successful, because it allows you to have the technology to be able to provide on-demand information and reports for your customers, your stakeholders. So then we have also team structure, succession planning. Succession planning is very important. Dylan talked about knowledge transfer, right? That goes into succession planning. How are we going to make sure that this knowledge, that all of these great things that this PMO has been doing, you know, the momentum that we have, the positive momentum, that it keeps going, right? So it's different elements that's very important. Then the Agile PMO, which is the most flexible of the PMO types, is based on the Agile Manifesto, that it's individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working deliverables over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. This is part of the Agile Manifesto, and it influences the Agile PMO, which again is the most flexible of the PMO types, the most adaptive of the PMO types. We talked about PMO structures and types at the beginning when I introduced I showed you the PMO guidebook. All right, now finally we have the PMO leadership and sponsorship layer. And as you see, it's executive sponsorship and emotional intelligence. How it's worded, the executive sponsorship is your senior executives. They have a role in pulling together the coalition of the willing sometimes to make sure that they're providing the resources, the buy-in necessary in order to make this PMO it's successful, you know, to be able to execute the PMO. You know, they're providing decisions, financial support, their sponsorship, your emotional intelligence, the EQ. It may be underrated, but it's very important. EQ is the ability to sense, understand, manage, and apply the information and power of emotions as a source of energy, motivation, connection, and influence. And below it, I have a small picture here that's a model to increase that emotional intelligence. And it's defined pretty well inside the PMO guidebook. Right? And so when I talked about the models, the methods, and the artifacts, I talked about some of the leadership theory, you know, things that involve the interactions between the leader and the follower or the project PMO professionals that's supporting the PMO leader or leadership, right? And so the same thing with emotional intelligence. It allows you to make a connection with your people, allow them to better support you, to have more productivity out of them and the PMO. And again, there's different ways you can increase that emotional intelligence. And here we are again with the PMO framework. It's back together again. I decomposed it and gave you a little bit more detail about it, and then I put it back together for you, right? And you're going to get a free copy of this. So you'll get to see this plenty. Right. And at that, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat, and I'll try my best to address your questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to at least point you in the right direction.
Great. Thank you, Eric, for this amazing presentation. So much knowledge you gave to us. Hope everyone will try to implement this framework. And now it's time to pass the floor to our Vice President of Global Partnerships, Corinne O'Brien, to speak on the topic Career in PMO. Corinne is the Vice President for Europe and Latin America. She's responsible for promoting PMO learning through collaboration and the partnership program. Corinne has a deep understanding of the diversity of project management. gaining cross-cultural expertise from operating in 6 countries across 3 continents over the past 16 years. By sharing the knowledge of PMO Global Institutes, the CB-PMO Framework and Guidebook, Corinne strives to change the fabric of PMOs across continents by ensuring PMOs are not simply performing, but succeeding, thriving, and speaking the same global language. Corinne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadine. Good evening, everybody in Poland. Thank you for joining us on your Thursday evening. We really do appreciate it. Nadine, has it been 16 years? Ugh. Makes me feel old, but thank you everybody for being here with us this evening. And thank you, Eric, for your explanation of the CB-PMO framework. It was super detailed. And when we get to the quiz at the end of this, we're going to see how much you understood and how much you took in. So thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to ask you to do something very, very uncomfortable. I know it's a Thursday night and everybody's tired. Would you mind switching on your cameras just for 1 second? I'd love to get a group photo of PMI Poland that we can share on our LinkedIn, you know, promote you as the best project managers within your region. This would be really, really lovely. If you can just switch on your camera. Aneta, thank you. Look at this. Look at this. Dr. Tony is here. I love this. Thank you so much. Anybody else feeling brave? Really? Only Aneta in the whole of PMI? There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lord, Barbara. Oh, this is brilliant. Thank you so much. So after 3, we're just going to do a big cheesy smile, if that's okay, for the LinkedIn community. So after 3, 1, oh, yes, bravo. That's it. Fantastic. I love this. Lord, where have you gone? Come back. Come back. Okay, Barbara. Excellent. Isabella too. So after 3, 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. I know it's been a long week, but it's Friday tomorrow. Fantastic, fantastic, excellent. So my name is Corinne. I am the Vice President of Partnerships at PMO Global Institute. And tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about careers within the PMO space. So if you are currently working in a PMO, can you just type PMO in the chat box, please? You don't have to be currently working in a PMO. It could have happened in the past or somewhere that you want to go in the future. So anybody that's working within a PMO at the moment, let's have a look. So we have Aneta. This is why you look so smiley and happy. You're a professional PMO. I love this. Isabella too. Fantastic. Brilliant. So we do have a few experienced PMOs with us tonight. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. As we know, PMOs are exploding globally. And one of the problems that we got from 5 years of research, we've done a huge research project, and the problem is with PMOs, there is a huge gap in knowledge and training and education when it comes to the PMO space. If you ask somebody in Canada, what is a PMO? If you ask somebody in Poland, what is a PMO? They're going to give you completely different answers, even between organizations. And we really, at PMO Global Institute, we're here to create the global standard, and we really want to make PMOs succeed within the next 5 years. This is the aim. So I think PMO, it absolutely is part of something that should be on your career ladder as an experienced project, program, portfolio manager. To actually be the lead within the PMO space is something that you should be aiming for. And we at PMO Global Institute are here to support you in this. So let me just share my screen with you, everybody, and I'll show you a couple of roles that you can play within the PMO space. So first of all, you know, you can be part of the PMO staff. So as a project manager working under a PMO, I know there's a lot of negativity out there when it comes to PMOs, including, too much bureaucracy, policies, governance, project management police. But as Eric has explained to you, the PMO is so much more in alignment with the business objective, and this is how we should view it. So we have PMO staff. The next thing, we have PMO trainers and coaches. There are not a lot of PMO trainers out there at the moment, but Eric is one of our authorized instructors, and he will be having his next training session very soon. Eric, if you could please pop your LinkedIn ID into the chat box for everybody here. And if you'd like to be the next person to join Eric's program, please contact him directly. We have PMO officers, PMO managers, PMO directors, and of course, PMO sponsors. So this ladder is really, really out there and should be part of your progression as a project manager. PMO Global Institute was developed, the framework, the guidebook, the tools, the templates, the policies, the governance. We've put a lot of time into this to help to find those champions within the PMO space. If you think that this is you, or if you're just interested in this as a general career move, you can sign up for a free membership with PMO Global Institute. Nadine, if you can pop the link into the chat box, please. And if everybody could just take a second to sign up as a member of PMO Global Institute. It's completely free. Our amazing community manager here, Dylan, is constantly out there researching, the prospects, what's happening in the PMO world, and he will be giving you monthly newsletters. So if you just want free information on the PMO space, then please sign up for the free membership. That would be amazing. The next thing, there is a regular membership for $89, but 5 of you today are going to win this for free. So as Eric gave us this amazing presentation, I hope you were taking notes, because 5 lucky winners at the end of this event are going to win the PMO Global Institute Guidebook. Oh, I've disappeared, for free. So please play along at the end of this event. So please become a member today. The next thing, you can become a certified baseline PMO consultant. What this does is it gives you the knowledge and the tools to be able to implement a successful PMO within your organization. So the CB-PMO consultancy training program is 21 hours in total. And at the end of this, you will have the guidebook, the framework, the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence to be able to go into your organization and give them real life stories and real life tools and real life experience on how to implement a successful PMO. So again, if you'd like to join Eric's program in the future, please just pop him a little message on LinkedIn. So this is the second way. The third way, you can become a business partner with PMO Global Institute. I know that a lot of you will have a lot of experience in mentoring and coaching and training just as part of your everyday life as a project manager. So if you're interested in becoming a trainer with PMO Global Institute, I will pop my email in the chat box too. So please contact me if you're interested in that. But the bottom line is PMO Global Institute are here to support you throughout your PMO journey. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and good luck with the quiz. Who will be the lucky winners?
Thank you so much, Corinne. Thank you for letting all attendees know how they can boost their careers. And now we have finished with our main sessions. So it's time to ask questions and get replies. So anyone has any question, you can unmute yourself and ask directly. You have a great chance to ask your question. So anyone? No one has questions? Don't be shy, don't hesitate, just ask directly. You have a unique chance. Or or you're waiting to play Kahoot game and win your prize?
I think they're excited about the quiz.
All right.
That's what it is.
All right. If no one has any questions,